Hello, everyone out there. This is your girl, Black and Indigenous American. This video I've been contemplating um, for maybe 2 or 3 years now, but I'm at the point in my life now I really don't care. So I'm going to go ahead and give my opinion. No, I am not enrolled in a federally recognized tribe, nation, what have you, but I'm going to give you my opinion anyway. Um, There's been a lot of talk about the Cherokee Freedmen. I'm not even going to get into that. I have nothing to do with that, and it is what it is. But right now, I am disgusted with how some tribes are disenrolling their tribal members. Some say it's greed. Some say, well, they don't have enough tribal blood to be in our tribe. She or he may, or their family may, be less than 1/4% of such and such tribe, but their family lineage is mixed with other American Indian tribes or American Indigenous tribes. But just because they don't have enough tribal blood, they're being kicked out left and right. This is becoming a trend. And I'm disgusted. I really am disgusted. Now, each tribe is its own sovereign nation. They do as they please. But my thing is, the true members of those tribes, you would think they would see some injustice going on and they can vote out certain tribal representation in their tribe, you would think. Or do they feel pressured to let things stay the way they are because they're getting their cut and they don't want to ruffle any feathers and be kicked out as well? I'm thinking about this tribe out in California. They've disenrolled quite a few members in that tribe, yet they have direct connection with the tribe through their maternal grandmother side of the family. They've been a huge addition to the tribe. They've given their time and things of that nature. And that side of the tribe, those family members are being kicked out or have been kicked out. And it's just disgusting because I'm like, okay, a lot of people, they don't know anything outside of the reservation or outside of their community. And for them to be kicked out, shunned almost, what about the next generation? Now, again, I'm not federally recognized by any tribe, any nation, and I know how hard it is to embrace and to understand certain things within my community. And learning this stuff later in life, culture-wise, not the blood, but culture-wise. Learning about this stuff later in life is not easy. And even language, for instance, I'm learning my native tongue on my own. I mean, that's not easy if you're learning it on your own and you're not interacting with other people who speak the same language. Yeah, it's difficult. So you have a handful of people that got kicked out of a particular tribal community, and I can't even imagine like being able to live in that culture and then the next day you're kicked out. What is that? Now some people are blaming it on greed with gaming. I'm sure part of that has a lot to do with it. Some people are saying, well, there are people who are not legitimate and that's why we have to kick them out and their descendants. I can understand it as well, because you have some people that want to jump on the bandwagon so they can get a check, so they can get benefits, while the real members of that community are not getting it, and or they're not getting the full benefits that they should get because somebody else is taking it. So I get that. So there's different perspectives, different angles to this issue, but I'm going to speak on behalf of someone who is disappointed in how certain tribes are treating their members who have a right to be considered a member of that tribe. And they're being kicked out because they don't have enough tribal blood. Tribal blood. That's what so many members of particular tribes left. If you only have 100 people in this particular tribe, and you have 200 people in this particular tribe, and 300 people in this particular tribe, or whatever, I mean, it's bound to happen. What are you going to do? Inbreed forever? Or are you going to go to another tribe and branch out and still be Native American, still be indigenous to this particular piece of land, but have your offspring having connections to 2 or 3 or even 4 different tribes, in a tribe or whatever? What's the issue with that? And then I think about it. I think a lot has to do with gaming in that particular situation, in that particular scenario. Because if you are 100% Native American, or whatever you want to call it, but you're just tribally mixed, you have different tribal connections within your DNA, and then you get kicked out because you don't have enough tribal blood in this particular tribe versus that particular tribe, yeah, it boils down to gaming. I don't care what nobody says. And again, I have my opinion. No, I'm not connected to any particular federally recognized nation, but I'm going to speak what I want to speak. This is my channel. So those out there that want to have something to say, whatever, I'm going to say what I want to say. And from the outside looking in, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like gaming has a lot to do in that particular situation. When people who are 100% Native American or 99% or 80% or whatever, they have a huge significant amount of blood. But just because they don't have 25% Native American blood for that particular tribe that they probably was raised up in from day one, okay, that's the particular tribe they were raised up. They know the customs and everything that was passed down from generation to generation, and then all of a sudden, oh, you don't have enough tribal blood, you got to get out. Yeah, that is so wrong. I mean, morally wrong. Morally wrong. And these people are just being cut off left and right. Left and right. Some people saying, oh, it has a lot to do with politics, families that are connected to certain leaders in that particular nation, family feuds, okay? This particular family having an amp on this particular family, maybe it was a generation or 2 back and they still bickering, and they have someone in a political platform or on a political platform that's the voice of the nation, kick them out. And then think about it. If it's boiled down to the money, and you have a small amount of people that are members of that community, that means the piece of that pie gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So those who are actually getting the checks cut out to them every month via gaming, why would they say anything? Why would they say, oh, this is a disgrace? when they get $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 a month per family member in that tribe? When they see injustice going on within their community, why would they say anything? Because that's going to cut off their benefits for those who are turning a blind eye, right? This is very frustrating for me, again, because I'm just thinking about how difficult it is for me and for a lot of people in my particular situation, who are forced to show the paper trail versus someone else. But then you're looking at people, you look at them, hey, ain't no doubt they Native American, and most people are like, okay, whatever. Not even really thinking about their particular tribal connection. But then deep, behind the scenes, you're seeing another layer of confusion going on. And that's not having enough tribal blood. Not Native American blood, tribal blood. So I would say maybe about September, this coming up September will be 2 years since I attended a session on blood quantum and does it really matter? And it was at a local museum not too far from where I live. And there's Native American blood. You have the Cherokee Freedmen. There was a few representatives there who spoke on behalf of Cherokee Freedmen and their disappointment in how things have been within their community. But then the panel also spoke on tribal blood. And see, this, I think, has been so far under the radar and not really talked about in public for the rest of the United States to understand. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, tribal blood? But they're Native American. Oh, but they're not, their percentage of Native American is not enough to be a member of this tribe. So if you have a child, or let's say a grandchild, or even great-grandchildren, they have a mixture of 4 or 5 different tribes in their bloodline. And is it Native American? Maybe a couple of white folks was up in there or whatever, but for the most part, Native American, hands down. And then when it comes to their generation, they can't even enroll or be considered an enrolled member of any of those tribes. Not one, because their blood is not as strong for one particular tribe. But yet they're Native American. What in the world? So the system that has been set up is a joke. The system that has been set up is a joke. It's one thing to keep people out of their community who are just leeches. I call them leeches. They have that 1% of Native American blood and they run with it. And for whatever reason, they get a pass, right? Those are the people that I can't stand. Those are the people that make it hard for everybody else. They make it hard for everybody else. People that look like me, we have a hard time. And then you have people who don't look like me and don't look Native American, and they get a pass, right? They can claim minority benefits, right, when it's convenient. And Monday through Friday, they Billy Bob and Susie Ann. And on the weekends, they Eagle Feather and Blue Sky, right? I'm just thinking about this lady. She's a politician. She's a senator. Her name is Elizabeth Warren. I'm not going to talk too much about her, but let's just say I am not fond of her. And for someone like her to claim, right? Claim that she's Native American or whatever, she's considered a minority, and get minority benefits, but not even enrolled in the freaking tribe. But nobody bat an eye. That's what I can't stand. So when you have tribes that are federally recognized, when they kick people out left and right, that's their prerogative. They're sovereign. And that's a hard pill to swallow, but it is what it is. They're sovereign nations. I get it. Took me a while to get to this point, but I get it. What I don't get is the leaders of those tribes who are taking advantage of those people who have a rightful place in their community. And just because they don't have enough whatever tribal blood, they're being kicked out left and right. And they literally have to try to prove on paper, like everybody else, even though their family been there for generations and generations, have been contributing to the community for generations and keeping the customs and the culture intact for generations, keeping the language intact for generations and generations and generations. And they're getting kicked out left and right. If that ain't crazy, if that's not greed, I don't know what is. So this video is about my frustration with tribal governments that are taking advantage of their Native American, by blood, tribal members. And I ain't talking about people like myself. Obviously, I have black blood in me. I'm talking about those people that have lived in the culture, that all the way back generations or whatever, they're glued to the culture. They know the language, the customs, and all of that. And being kicked out unfairly by their tribal government. And when you follow the money, you're going to follow and you're going to find the source of this disenrollment business. So yes, again, I have an opinion. And yes, it's taken me a minute to be comfortable to talk about it because I'm kind of on the outside looking in. But you know you're wrong. And for those who turn a blind eye, I don't know what to say. I really don't. I don't know what to say. A lot of them, they may not necessarily have the education to be able to get a regular job outside of their community and take care of their family. Right? So they've always depended on the community. Takes a village, right? It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to survive without having your own house and car and money and stuff for a regular job. So if you're used to living in a type of community like that, that's going to be tough trying to live on your own in this crazy USA type of culture. Because typically, and it depends on the region you live in, everybody is trying to survive on their own. I live in a neighborhood right now where I only know like one family in this neighborhood because they live right next door and they're friendly. The folks on my left, they'll throw up their hand and smile. I do the same. I don't know them. I don't know their names. So we all are just living for ourselves. We all are trying to make it on ourselves. We all have a job or own a business or something for ourselves and our own families. And a lot of us, we went to school, we got higher education, which I have mixed feelings about. But for the most part, we try to go further with our education. Book smarts. Which I feel like after spending so much money in school, higher education and such, I learned so much outside of school than I did in school. But whatever. The point is, employers, they look for that on your resume. They look for that in your background. So if people within tribal communities who are used to the culture, the customs, the language, all of that stuff, and then having to actually start a new life, being kicked or disenrolled, and they don't have that connection. And in some cases, many are being shunned almost, like the current members of the community don't keep in contact with them. That's rough. That's rough. So anyway, like I said, it took me a while to speak on this because I didn't want to say too much about it. Number one, because I'm an outsider to most people. And number two, I wanted to learn a little bit more about what was going on. I mean, here it is, 2013. And I would say going on 10 years now since I've been really more diligent, more observant within the Native American community. And there's obviously multiple nations, and everyone has their own way of doing business, but for the most part. So I've been reading up on a lot of things. I'm connected with people up and down the East Coast. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. And again, I really didn't say much about the Cherokee Freedmen or tribal communities that have a significant amount of mixing with blacks, and how they're seen among other tribes that are federally recognized, for instance, like the Narragansetts and the Wampanoag people and things of that nature. You know, they definitely have black blood present in their family tree. However, they're very, very much connected to their tribal culture, and I have to say that I'm very impressed, and I think there should be more communities such, like that. Now, again, they're in the Northeast. They're further north, and further south and further west out. A lot of people, they try to disconnect from black folks because of the stigma and things of that nature. But anyway, big ups to the Narragansetts and the Wampanoag people. And I wish I can go out to their powwow in September on Long Island, but I just financially cannot do it right now. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. I am done with attending cultural functions that do not represent people like myself. I want to continue to support functions that there are people that look like me, and there are people who accept people that look like me. I'm kind of over, going to events and it's just bathing in biases and racism towards people that, like me, towards people with my mixture. So I just choose to not participate, and I choose to support communities that support their members that look like me. So anyway, I'm done with this video. I can go on and on and on. It's definitely an uphill battle, and I just really feel for those members who are just being kicked out because they don't have enough tribal blood. Not because they don't have enough Native American blood. It's because they don't have enough tribal blood. That is just ridiculous. It really is. And then I can go on and on and on about natives who went out to urban communities to go to work and school, and how many of those people don't have federal recognition from their communities as well. It's in their blood. They are who they are, but then they're kind of shunned almost because they went and got education, and they went and got jobs outside of the reservation or outside of the tribal community. There are laws in place, or there were laws in place. I'm thinking more so in the southeast of the U.S., where if a person was presumed, or a family was presumed as Native American, but they also had, they were mixed with black or whatever, as long as the white folks in the community said, oh, they're Native American, they're Indian, then it was okay. So in documentations, they were listed as Native American. However, if those natives mixed with black decided to leave the reservation, or decided to leave their community, their tribal community, and they disconnected from their tribal functions and such, then they were removed, and they don't have voting rights and things of that nature. It's just a shame how the system is set up. It's a shame because Native Americans, from what I gather, they're the only group of people who have to prove who they are and who are restricted on where they go and where they live. It's crazy. It really is. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Yet, if you're, let's say, Asian, like my mother-in-law is Vietnamese, that woman is still Vietnamese. Regardless of where she lives in the world, she is Vietnamese. Now, she has an American citizenship, so she's Vietnamese American, but she's still Vietnamese. By her moving to the United States, that does not erase her Vietnamese identity. She speaks the language. She eats the food. She's involved in Vietnamese functions and things of that nature. She has some relatives that moved out this way. So she's Vietnamese. And she does not have to prove that she's Vietnamese. In my opinion, people that have to prove who they are, for the most part, Native Americans, is because money is involved. Land is involved. And I believe that if land and money wasn't involved, and if the United States didn't have interest in it, who would care? Nobody would care. Nobody would care, and there will be less families breaking up and less communities kicking other folks out of communities over such. Now, not saying there weren't any quarrels and people leaving certain bands of a nation and moving on somewhere else, or getting accepted into another tribe. It happened. People argue. But you know what I mean. So, in my case, if I go anywhere, I've been mistaken for other races and mixtures and stuff like that. But, it is what it is. Like, I could probably put down I'm Hispanic if I wanted to. But I'm not, because I'm not culturally Hispanic. I'm not culturally Latina. I wasn't raised in, a Hispanic household. And one more comment. An old acquaintance told me in order for her to get a low interest rate on her home refinance, she was told that she should put down that she's Hispanic, that she's a Latina. And then that's how she was able to get a low interest rate instead of putting down black. She's from New York City. And for her to be able to get a lower interest rate, she put down her race as a Latina, Hispanic. That's how she was able to get a good deal. If that ain't crazy, I don't know what is. But guess what? They couldn't prove it. They couldn't prove that she wasn't Hispanic. But yet, as a Native American, if you're trying to get benefits, whatever, you're going to have to prove it. And you got a lot of people out there who destroyed records, didn't write down the right ethnicity at birth. You had a lot of people who were illiterate, didn't spell the names correctly in the records. The list goes on and on and on, But anyway, I'm going to end this conversation. Be blessed, and thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.